All right, let's get started. How is everyone? Yep. Hey, thank you all for making it out tonight. I know it's a little snowy, but I like to see that everybody doing a jacket and decide to come out. We have an awesome event tonight. The way it's going to roll is Annie's going to talk for a little bit. She's going to present. Annie is the founder of IRL Art. It is a art gallery and NFT gallery located in Denver, Colorado. But more importantly, she's become a very, very important voice in this industry. And when I first met her, the first time I talked to her, I got a little smarter. And then the next time I went out to lunch with her, I got a little smarter. If you want to learn about NFTs, especially in the art space, this is the person with whom to talk to. So she's going to talk about NFTs, what's going on with ETH Denver, and also the Metaverse. She's going to drop into that as well, maybe a little bit about DAOs tonight. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. Remember, ask questions, make this lively, and I'll hand it over to Annie.
Is it okay if I take my mask off or do I leave it on? Yeah, okay.
So I can speak a little clearer. Hi everyone. So I put together this really cute presentation, so I'm sad it's not on the big screen. I was really proud of it. But I'll make sure to share it on all of our social medias and everything, because there's some really good links in here that you might want to follow up on. But yeah, I'm Annie Phillips. Thank you, Joshua, for the super sweet introduction. So just kick it off, and basically I wanted to ask, just get a little temperature check. Who in here has a MetaMask? Yeah. Oh wow, okay. So maybe like half of all of y'all. So I just kind of want to fill the room a little bit. So MetaMask is what you're gonna want on any kind of Chrome or Firefox. It's a plugin that is really your gateway to Web3, as we like to call it. So the kind of future web where all of NFT platforms and any kind of crypto-based platforms really live. And basically, wanted to start off by talking about why I think NFTs are great. So number one, there's lifetime royalties built in. So almost every platform allows you to actually choose what percentage you want for your royalties. And every time they sell, so say you sell it the first time, of course you're going to get 100% of the sale. But when it sells the second or third time, you can build in a percentage that will automatically get credited to you. And yeah, some let you choose the percentage, which is really cool. Standard is about 10%. Two, artwork is trackable for its lifetime. So I'm primarily a digital artist, and the only tangible art I've ever really sold are 3D prints, and I have no idea where they're at. I have no idea if they've resold, who owns them, if they've sold for more, if they've sold for less. I have no idea. And so I really like that you can track NFTs. I've sold, I think, like 37 NFTs of my own, and I can check in on them, see if they have gotten bids, what they call it a floor price, so what the cheapest you can get one of my pieces for, which is kind of cool to check in on and see who owns it, if it's been transferred, things like that. And three, there's just endless new creative potential through the tech, and that's mainly what I'm going to be talking about, and kind of showing you some of the things that I'm really inspired by and have really challenged me to think deeper about NFTs more as a medium for creating art. So what all can NFTs do? And this is often referred to as their utility. So you'll hear that word quite a bit of like, what does this NFT do, or what is its utility? And these are some of the things that people are talking about. So access or experiences. So this artist, Fellowships, offered paint parties for the holders of all of their NFTs. So they have probably sold, I don't know, maybe 50 or 100 of their NFTs, and then they announced that they were going to host these paint parties in both New York and Miami that any of their NFT holders could come to, and they were really fun. unique experiences for their collectors to meet the artist, have a really fun time. I included a fun photo here of everyone wearing these like paint suits and just getting paint everywhere. So you see this a lot where, you know, artists are using NFTs almost like a ticket or, you know, a cool way to, like I said, you know, you can track who owns your NFTs, so it's a way to interact or give something back or provide access. And so dynamic NFTs, and here it says, what the heck is an oracle? So an oracle is how dynamic NFTs work. And this is one of the probably most inspiring types of NFTs I've seen out there. And I'll show you a few examples of pieces that I just think are phenomenal. But basically, an oracle sends data from the outside world, such as daily temperature or the number of votes of a political candidate, to a blockchain, which is what NFTs live on, and can then use that data. I'll give some examples of what that means, but how it all generally works is that the info you decide to use is stored inside of the NFT's metadata. So NFTs are somewhat of a contract. You can store data in that and pull it from an oracle. And so ultimately what that means is that even after you've created the NFT, if you embed data into it, it can change later on down the road, which I think is really cool. So yeah, kind of like mutations. A platform called Async Art has streamlined this process where you can more easily, you know, code in different cool parameters. But for more tech-curious creators, it's all possible to do it yourself through open source free technology. There's a really cool platform called Chainlink that offers this. And if you Google dynamic NFTs Chainlink, though, there's, you know, great education and resources out there that'll just walk you through it. And I'll go through some examples of dynamic NFTs that I love, and then show everyone some other types of more technical NFTs called generative. And so this is by far one of my favorite NFT pieces that's come out. It's by a former baseball player named Micah Johnson, who then became a fine artist. And basically he photographed these two brothers and asked them what they wanted to be when they grow up, and they wanted to be astronauts. And so every year on their birthday, the image updates, right, because of the oracle, and is able to, the boys get closer to the door that the astronaut is on the other side of. But it's also a call to action. So every year on their birthday, there's two QR codes that you can donate Bitcoin to. And they've already raised over $1 million for both brothers. And they'll, on their 18th birthday, they will disappear from the image and two astronauts will be there. So the idea is that they become astronauts and they get their Bitcoin, access to their Bitcoin wallets. And yeah, I always get goosebumps when I think about it, just because I feel like it's a really beautiful piece of both, you know, something that lives on for, you know, a decade and changes, and it brings you back to it, but it's also just shows the power of, like, you know, creating compelling work that can really make a difference. So the next one, so that one's on Async Art too, and I swear every time I look at Async, it just breaks my brain more, but it's such an incredible platform. And so I wanted to show actually the first piece that Async Art posted when they announced their platform, and it was called The First Supper, kind of a rendition of the Last Supper, where, you know, it's a big table of all these different characters, but it's 12 different artists, and each artist basically created a layer. So, you know, one artist did the table, one artist did this character, you know. And so it's really powerful in that sense of, you know, this collaborative piece where these artists all individually contributed to the composition, but then also, you know, it sells individually. Like you can buy one layer of a piece. But what's also cool is each artist had dynamic elements. So, you know, that unlock for the person who buys the layer. So say I bought this piece, the pink hair girl. You know, for instance, one thing it could do is, you know, every Tuesday, I, the owner, could change her hair to purple. And that's just a random example, because you could literally do anything, but basically what I think is novel about this is that, you know, the artist puts in parameters, the artwork gets purchased, but then the person who owns it has the ability to interact with it and, you know, change the overall piece. And so, you know, that just really hasn't been possible before. And so I think that that's a really incredible piece. So, who in here has heard about PFPs? Yeah, a few people. Okay, so PFPs stand for profile pictures. And if you've seen any of the like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, they've been a big one. They're on like Jimmy Kimmel got one. Oh, did we figure it out? Can we?
Hey, while they get this set up, I want to introduce Eli. Eli, got to stand up. He's the artist that made the NFT for tonight, which is awesome. And make sure you grab it on your, if you didn't grab it on your way, and grab it on your way out. Because Eli's a perfect example of an artist that is selling a lot of physical art right now to friends and families and other people. And you can get it for, you know, around under $1,000 still, or has the price gone up yet?
You can get it for,
Well, sorry, you can get it for under $1,000. But in about 5 years, a lot of that artwork is going to be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. But all the stuff that Eli sold today, right now, he's not going to make any money off of that, right? He's already sold it. He has no idea where it goes. If he has an NFT, a non fungible token, and writes into that smart contract, every time that goes from one person to the other, I get 10%. So think about it, that $1,000 piece of artwork, he sells for $1,000, then I buy it for $10,000, he gets $1,000, then it's worth $50,000, he makes another $5,000. So it's this recurring thing. So the point is, we buy artwork from Eli early on. Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, I think I was talking about Bored Ape Yacht Club. So the Jimmy Kimmel just bought one, Paris Hilton bought one. They've been really popular. It's kind of the phenomena right now. But I kind of look at them as like trading cards, or like, you know, they're very collectible, and I think of them more as like a game than art personally. But they're really popular, and I think it's like a big trend right now when people are like, how do I get into NFTs? They see this, and that's what a lot of people's like first project is. There's usually like 10,000 of them, and basically you can take like 50 different characteristics. So you could say like a hat, a cigar, sunglasses, you know, different characteristics, and you run it through a generator, and it shoots out, you know, 10,000 unique ones where they have different rarity and things like this. And they're pretty cool, you know, but I wanted to point out something that goes a little bit deeper, which they're also generative projects, but in the background of this slide is a Fidenza by Tyler Hobbs. And basically, each one is truly unique because it's driven by an algorithmic code. So he basically makes an underlying image that then he creates different parameters, like, you know, different sizes or thicknesses or color palettes, and he's using a lot of data of like what colors work best together, or, you know, aesthetics, and a lot of like machine learning and deep data. And I think that's really fascinating because, one, each piece is truly unique, so it's not just a randomized piece of art, but they're driven by code. So these are really neat projects, and you can see a lot more of these types of projects on artblocks.io. And they've been incredibly popular, and I just think they're a little more artful than generative PFP projects, but they're, yeah, so this, and I didn't want to talk too much about what we do because there's so much to really cover, but this is one project that we did recently for this phenomenal Metaverse project called Mona Gallery. And for me, what was so exciting about it was because as a digital artist that works in 3D, you know, when you render something, it feels really flat. And originally with NFTs, you could really only do like a still JPEG or a video. And so, you know, if anyone in here has worked in 3D, I mean, it doesn't feel the same, even if you have a video of the artwork, when you're like really moving around in there. It feels more like a video game when you're making the art. And so what's really kind of the breakthrough with Mona Gallery is you're able to make full 3D environments and transfer those as NFTs. And so we've been doing these recreations of our exhibits at our gallery and other places. And basically we made all of the NFTs that are on display. So we had some projection mapped and some in these vintage frames and TVs. And basically now the person who owns that can actually swap out the NFTs and host a gallery that other people can come to with their avatar. So, you know, and it's an NFT, which I think is just a crazy breakthrough because, you know, yeah, as a 3D designer, we put so much into building environments, and it falls flat a little bit when you can only sell it as a video or a JPEG. So, and Mona Gallery's been hosting several contests. So this was actually, we participated in their first contest, and I think we placed in the top 20. There was a lot of fantastic submissions, but yeah, it's just mona.gallery is the website. And I think they just finished up the second contest they did, but it's incredible. It's all web-based, so you can just go to their website and click on the different environments and explore, and they're really beautiful, and I'm sure they'll have more contests. They're also hiring. Pretty new project. It's all built on open source code and software, so other people have actually taken it and made it their own version since they've launched. But anyway, so NFTs can literally be anything. Sky's the limit. You can think of them as music videos, poems, time lapses, clothes for your avatar, fundraiser, an album, proof of attendance, a quest, an online identity, a URL, a piece of land, and a user-owned game, like Mona. And my dear friend Lee just came and we do crypto meetups at our gallery, and we had one because ETH Denver is coming up, so they are leading up the diversity track and onboarding for ETH Denver, but they're also a developer for Super Rare, which is a phenomenal NFT platform. That's where I sell my personal NFTs. But the other night they said this great quote of, "We want to create a world where parents are proud when you tell them you want to be an artist," which totally was church for me because, you know, it hasn't always been the most viable, but with NFTs, you know, we've seen the largest transference of wealth to the creator class ever. And I think that that's just going to continue to grow. And so we have on our website, IRLunderground.com, a resource doc that really is the result of about a year of me deep diving and researching, and I was going to write an article, and I was like, this article could be a short book, and I'd rather just link, like create categories and link and present it more as a resource doc instead of a short story. So anyway, you can also add resources on there. So if you check it out and you think something's missing, you can submit and we'll add it to it. And it's just a good mixture of free 3D software, tutorials, how to set up a wallet, the kind of the pros and cons of different NFT platforms. And yeah, and there's where you can find us on Instagram and Twitter, and we're always trying to post like good opportunities and various things and what we're up to. So definitely give us a follow. And I'm happy to go back to a slide since we have it now. If anybody wanted to take a photo or write down any of the links, definitely don't feel shy. I'm probably more nervous than you guys are. So, and we can also just open it up for any questions if y'all have any questions, and please don't feel dumb. This stuff is complicated, and I'm here to, answer questions or, give feedback or anything about something you may be working on. But yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a second mic, so just stand up if you have a question and ask Annie. I've got plenty of questions, but I want to leave it all for you all first.
Yeah, go for it.
So you talked about how you can edit a layer that you bought, like from a painting. So does that update like for other users that bought like the same, a different layer of the same painting?
Different layer of the same painting. So, oh yeah, so say you did a painting and it had 10 different layers and you presented that as an NFT and someone changed one layer, that would, change the entire composition. So, it's kind of interesting because, people buy a piece of art thinking, this is it. But with dynamic NFTs, I think people like the idea that it's going to change and like the uncertainty or curiosity around that. So, yeah, it would change the whole piece. Yeah, or at least that section of it. Yeah, dynamic NFTs are really cool. I literally, every time I find one or async post another one, it just always breaks my brain. A lot of people do the dynamic NFTs for the profile picture projects where, say they'll release a collection of 10,000, they'll all be question marks, and then they'll have a big reveal day. And basically, when they have the reveal day, everyone will go and refresh their metadata on OpenSea or another platform, and then their piece will show up. And so people are buying these that's why I feel like it's more like trading cards, or like buying a pack of Pokemon cards and you don't know what you're gonna get. So it's super gamified, but that's what most people's experience when they think of dynamic NFTs, because the PFP projects have just been so popular. I would say most people, that's their first NFTs, and people are really looking at those more as an investment or something. Yeah.
My question is about like what gives value to this NFT. Like, is it more people buy it, or like how does it like blow up? Like, how does it become famous? Or I know there's some ones that are really big. Is it like rarity, or is it more people buying it, or what does that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. I think a lot of people are investing in the technology, they're investing in the artist as this like vehicle to drive the technology further. But it almost feels like, this a big parallel to why things go viral online, like why does something get 1 million views, and so I see that trend a lot where I think, I saw this one guy who had done this project for his high school graduation where he had taken a picture of himself every day, and then he posted them, and then he learned about NFTs. He was like, I'm gonna post these as NFTs. And he made like over $1 million, but I think people just thought it was funny. They were like, look at this goofy kid, like this is, and maybe somebody kicked it off because they were like, hey, I want to, support this guy, like he's gonna go to college or whatever, but then it kind of snowballs. So I don't know, there's an internet memery to it all, I think, but I also think, moving work, I think, that's why I feel really drawn to the dynamic NFTs and the generative pieces like the Fidenzas is just that they're very tech driven. It almost feels like I'm reading a puzzle, and so I feel really challenged and drawn to them. So, and it's different for everyone. Some people, I think some of it's like, yeah, it's hard to say, but I ultimately think that people who really have their heart in it for the right reasons are investing in the future of the technology because they really believe in Web3, which is really more about data ownership. So as compared to, these massive giants like Facebook and Google that own all of your data, and there's not really ways to profit off of it except for like marketing yourself. With Web3, the idea is that you're taking your content and you own it. It's verifiably yours. You can make money off of it. You can always know where it is. Like it's a big about data ownership.
I just want to add, it's called rights to your intellectual property. That's what I would use it.
Yeah,
So if
totally.
you own something in the Metaverse, it's your right to ownership.
Yeah, totally.
And approved as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
What's your take on like the different NFTs like Ethereum, OpenSea, or Solana, or Polygon, whatever?
Yeah, totally. So,
Oh my bad, I don't know if everybody heard that.
oh yeah, so he asked, what's my perspective on the different, what's called networks. So Ethereum is a network. That's where NFTs were born out of. Through the smart contracts. I've always loved Ethereum, but more recently in the last year it's gotten really expensive because as more users are using it, the transactions, or what's called the gas fees, just get more and more expensive. And so it's become really challenging to really use it. So there's been new networks that have really come up in the last year that are really addressing that. So Solana being one. Polygon is what's called a layer 2 of Ethereum, so it like works compatibly with Ethereum, and it's a solution, a scaling solution for Ethereum because, yeah. But I really love Polygon. It's basically free to use. To mint an NFT, to buy or send them is like, if you do have to pay a gas fee, it's like fractions of a penny. Whereas Ethereum, sometimes I've spent up to like $200, which is ridiculous.
Have you heard of Wax?
Yeah, I really like Wax.
Gas fees at it. Oh,
Yeah, Wax is a really cool one where like,
what's your opinion on it?
I like it. That's where a lot of the collectible like tops, baseball cards, and a lot of different collectible things are on there. So I think they're working like directly with Disney and some big companies to do a lot more like collectors stuff, which is pretty cool.
You gonna compete with the major chains just because it's kind of like unknown and kind of new still?
Yeah, maybe. I think, different networks are solving different problems or creating kind of niches, and, I see it as like one giant ecosystem or something. Yeah.
Where do you see like the technology of display for NFTs like in the future? I know Samsung are just doing like a frame and TV are coming out with different ways to display digital works.
Yeah,
I'm just curious what you might be doing at Denver, or where you see that going in like call it 10 to 25 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to remember what the company was called. I just saw the coolest display at just online, some pictures. We were trying to figure out what it was because it looked like someone had projection mapped a canvas, like a nice 3-inch deep canvas.
Samsung.
It's its own company. It was called like Lumade or something like that. But those are really beautiful. There's this other one called Logo Frames. It's really interesting where it's like a frame that actually has some kind of really nice sound bar, but it's also got a camera in it. And they're really anticipating and creating tech around the idea of really interactive NFTs in the future, which honestly aren't even here yet. but the idea of in the future when the tech continues to grow, actually having the way to display it. So they're kind of ahead of the curve, and they'll have some frames at ETH Denver. And really, my background's in like projection mapping and stage building and experience building, and so we have some cool stuff we're building at ETH Denver. We're building like a metal frame. We're calling it the tsunami. We're gonna mount TVs up and over, and trying to give some more installation and depth to it. But we use a lot of CRTs. I like the retro vibe too, like old vintage TVs. We've been getting these vintage frames and literally just spray painting them gold and stretching fabric in them and projection mapping them. And that's been really fun as like a way to really present it as art, because I still think people look at NFTs and they're like unsure if it's art. So we've been really trying to present it in artful ways. Projectors a lot, like we have a big white wall in our gallery. We do large scale projection, and yeah. But I think, you know, we'll see more and more of like DJs and bands using it for visuals and like, you know, more like installation hybrids of art. That's what, you know, I think I'm most excited about, because as an installation artist, when you get booked to do an installation, like it's just a flat fee. But I see that like NFTs could be this way to have something that you're also kind of able to monetize to really make your career more sustainable. So like if you did a projection mapped installation somewhere, you could also be an NFT that's available.
What you think about Gary Vee and
My friend Layla loves them. I think he's interesting. I should look into it more. I think it's cool when people build communities. I think like, especially in the pandemic when we were so isolated, that NFTs really played this special role in building community online that is very special, and I could never discredit that, because I think that's really powerful and a way that, you know, I think a lot of people make good money off of joining those communities too. You know, if you get in early and then they go up in value, you know, like it can be really impactful. But yeah, if y'all haven't signed up to ETH Denver, there's actually still a few more days to apply. They did extend it. If you go to ethdenver.com/apply, it is going to be so incredible. They've rented several buildings on South Broadway, and it's free. There's free childcare, and it's just 24 hours of talks and music, and there's a vintage arcade in there, an art gallery, a maker space where there will be like soldering irons and Arduinos and really cool artists to like make weird stuff with, and beanbag chairs. It's really fun, and a really great way to just like learn and network, and I'm really excited. We've done the gallery there since 2019, and so when you first walk into the conference, the gallery will be right there, and we have over 100 artists displaying artwork. We have been already building it, and it's going to be really massive, so I'm really excited. We're going to host the auctions on a platform called Doing Good. That's a Polygon-based platform, and I'm really excited by it, because honestly, because it's ETH Denver, I was kind of worried they were going to make me use an Ethereum-based platform. I'm like, we're going to have to spend like 5 figures just to mint these pieces, and I was dreading it, but thankfully they were fine with me using a Polygon-based platform for the to run the auctions, and they're really cool. I like Doing Good a lot. It's a really great platform, especially for curating and for galleries. So if you have a show concept, it's really perfect for that. Whereas a lot of platforms are more geared towards like independent artists, like if you want to make your own work. But as a gallery, there hasn't been a ton of tools out there to really put a collection together of other people's work and sort it. So Doing Good's really putting effort into that, so I'm really excited.
So a question for a lot of our students, I know they're looking to get into the NFT space, either as artists, creating digital art or minting, or investing. How many of you have purchased an NFT? Okay, how many of you have purchased crypto?
Oh, wow.
How many of you that have purchased crypto really looked into the project and why, what the project was all about? How many of you purchased it just because it was going up? Those of you that are in my crypto class, we've had this discussion many times.
So cool.
So when you're looking at NFTs, like, how do you get involved? How do you get to think about purchasing? Now, obviously it's art, so it's specific to you, but also to look at it as an investment as well.
Yeah, there's some really cool websites out there where, like OpenSea, the biggest NFT platform, has a lot of tools now where it actually will, show what's trending, what the total volume traded is of collections, and rank things, so you can really see, per hour, per day, per week, per month, and sort it so that you can really see things. But I definitely encourage people to get on Twitter, definitely more than Facebook or Instagram. That's really the place where people are posting about NFT projects and different, make announcements and different things. And so it was nice. I actually didn't have a Twitter before I got into NFTs, and so I just follow NFT platforms and artists and kind of thinkers and developers, and it's become kind of my feed for that, whereas my Instagram and Facebook has everyone I've known since high school. So so I really like Twitter, and there's a few cool platforms. There's one called Rarity Sniffer where you can actually put in so each NFT has a unique address that represents it. It's called token contract address. And you can enter it into Rarity Sniffer, and it'll tell you how rare it is. And I use this platform called ZapperFi, and you can if you have a MetaMask or a Trust Wallet, Coinbase, you can connect it to ZapperFi, and all of your NFTs that are in your wallet, as well as all your crypto, will show up there. And it's this really nice dashboard because, as some of you might know, with MetaMask, you have to manually add tokens in there because they just don't automatically show up. So these interfaces like ZapperFi, you can connect the wallet to, are really nice. And they actually will appraise your NFTs and give you, based on the artist or the collection it's in, and it'll pull data and actually tell you what your NFTs are worth. And so anymore, there's some really good tools out there. As far as being an artist, I definitely have a lot of resources on our resource doc that breaks down more about the pros and cons of different platforms. There's some platforms like OpenSea and Rarible that are not curated. Anybody can join and make an NFT, but what's tough is it really relies on your marketing to, pull people to the site to see your artwork. Whereas Super Rare and Known Origin, Makerspace, and platforms like Async is curated, so you have to put in an application, but it is worth it to try and get in because, they have, more of a built-in collector base. They'll do interviews with artists, blog articles and reshares and things like that, which really help. They are harder to get into, but, really for me, I studied and looked at all of the art on there and really, on my application tried to choose my best work and, and take it serious. And because it is a big opportunity to get on these platforms. There's also a platform called cryptoart.io that you can search any artist's name and it'll give you their total sales they've ever done. And, most of the highest grossing artists are on Super Rare, so, goals for sure. And Known Origin's really up there too. Makerspace is the platform that collaborates directly with Christie's, so they're definitely up there too. And I just like to study it. I like to see what other artists are doing, and just try to find inspiration and continue to, push yourself, continue learning. There's a ton of great resources out there for tutorials. You can literally learn anything. I use Cinema 4D, but a lot of our team members have been using Blender, which is completely free. And there's so many tutorials out there that, you could pretty quickly be making animations or graphic design work.
Hi.
Hey!
I just had while you were talking about the marketing promotion side of it, I was wondering if you had anything to say about that, because it seems like even if you make something cool, and even though this represents a really cool new financial model for artists, you still kind of have the same problem where you got to get someone to look at it, and if you're not big and making ape art, nobody knows about it.
Yeah, totally.
So are there any kind of cool alternative ways of promotion?
Yeah, there's a lot of just great communities. I really like Discord and Telegram. You can literally just search NFT communities and a lot will pop up. And there's one that my friend Jessica, who manages the makerspace that ETH Denver runs, called Art Project Decentralized, and it's on Telegram. There's probably 2,000 artists in there, but we all help promote each other's work. So there's really great, places like that where you can share your work and, tell your story. You say hey, I'm just getting started. I'd love any feedback, or, here's where I posted it if y'all could go give me a like. And that stuff helps, and also just to get feedback from other artists that, and building community, right? Just really building community from within of people, because there's this, I think it's 80-20 rule, where 80% of your supporters are also going to be artists. So artists support artists. So, getting, adding yourself to different communities and putting yourself out there, I think you'll be surprised, and especially with your work, because it's so awesome.
So I like the auction.
Yeah, they're going to have a piece at the ETH Denver auction, so watch out. Yeah.
One thing I would actually like you to touch on for the folks in here is to explain that of how, even though you're selling a piece of art via NFT, that doesn't prevent you from doing things like prints or stickers.
Oh, yeah,
Some platforms will definitely be fully exclusive to the art you're putting on there, but for most cases, the NFT just represents the digital copy.
Right, yeah, there are some platforms that, you can define your licensing on, which is pretty cool. So it could be, there's tiered licensing where, you own all your rights, there's mutual rights, or you're selling your rights. But most platforms, a majority of platforms, you actually own and maintain all your rights as an artist. So say you made a painting and you sold an image of that as an NFT, you can still sell that painting. And so I think that's really incredible. There's this artist called Hackatow that is so awesome. They do these really cool illustrations, and then we'll animate them. And their illustrations will sell for a lot on their website, but then they're also selling them as NFTs. And I think that artist is a really good example of someone who's really found a way to maximize what they're making into a collection. So yeah.
This is a really important distinction, actually, and it goes around copyright laws.
Totally.
And I think it's CryptoPunks that you can buy a CryptoPunk, but you actually don't own the actual copyright to that CryptoPunk.
Oh yeah, or Bored Ape Yacht Club, one of the reasons why it has gotten so popular, so people say, is that you do own all the rights. So when you own a Bored Ape, you can make prints of it, you can print it on clothing, you can make a mural of it, and you can do whatever. And some people think that that's kind of part of the value of it. And there's certainly ways that you could approach that as an artist too, of, giving the rights to your art when you're selling it. And so, yeah.
But there's also getting into, the digital copies. There's, utilities with it, or perks Bored Ape, you're a part of the club.
Yeah.
yacht parties. Some of it you might sell the NFT and it has unlockable content that you're not going to get if you just purchase the physical painting or the album. So that, I mean, there's a lot of value.
But also those unique NFTs give you like access to like a private Discord chat where all those people, the owners, get to act, you know what I mean? They have their own like community or a group.
Yeah, it's
Owning
totally.
an NFT gives you, opens the door to like a circle of people that you can never really,
Yeah, so what they're talking about, it's wild actually now on Discord. You can connect your MetaMask to the Discord and verify that you have a certain NFT, and it'll unlock, private clubs, so to speak, in these different groups. And, some of the things they'll be, trades, they'll be talking about NFTs they're trading or tokens or, or they'll give somebody that's holding those NFTs, VIP tickets to something, and that's why I gave Felocious as an example, because I thought this was a really fun thing that they did after they had even already sold the NFTs. So you don't even really have to have a plan going into it. I don't think they ever expected their art to do so well, but then it did, and they made some good money, and they were like, I want to do something cool to give back to everyone that supported me. So they threw these epic paint parties. And so, I think it is a fun way to approach, an NFT project, but you could always, do something retroactively as well.
I'm like trying to understand the value of buying an NFT. So like once you buy it, is it like crypto, you're gonna get money if more people buy it, or is it only if you're the owner?
Well, it depends. So like, for instance, which this might be kind of a strange example. So me being an artist on Super Rare, I have a profile on there. I've made some NFTs. They launched a token, crypto, their rare token, and every artist that had ever minted artwork on there, sold, or even bought artwork on there, got a major, like, life-changing amount of money. So, yeah.
I think I can kind of incorporate this. So
Yeah.
another thing is value. Some of these NFTs are generating income.
Yeah, some are like,
keep them in the game and
Yeah.
Metaverse,
You
whatever.
can own a casino in Decentraland and you're getting percents. If you make something at a pre-sale, it goes to a secondary market like OpenSea, you flip it. So there's like the value is immense.
it's not, yeah, and it's not like a one size fits all. Like really, each NFT is different, and one might grant you access to an event that would normally cost a lot of money. Like I'm a member of a group called Friends with Benefits, and you have to hold 75 of their crypto tokens. But like every month they throw parties, and I got to see Erykah Badu perform, and like who knows what a concert ticket to that would be, and and it's really cool because it's a private party. It's not like you go into a club and you might be in the nosebleed section. They're like really providing really epic experiences. So it's really hard to say, like, there's not really an overall way to look at it. Like each project is really unique and different. Yeah.
I don't know much about this, but I was wondering if maybe you could explain like fractionalized NFTs.
Yeah, so one way to think about it is just additions. So, most NFTs are one of ones, or especially like older NFTs, so like earlier ones in like 2019, 2020, because a lot of the bigger platforms, that was all they did at first, because a lot of it's based around scarcity, but now a lot of them allow for additions, and I like to think of it as prints. So instead of like an original, you could do additions. And so it's really just one NFT, but there's 100 editions of it. I actually have an edition right now that we have an NFT claw machine at our gallery. And So each NFT that you can win is an addition of 100. But you can also fractionalize a one of one. I'm trying to think of what the platform is, but there's a platform where, say you have a really expensive NFT, like a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk, you can actually go onto certain platforms, wish I could think of the name, and actually create editions that people can own that represent a certain percentage ownership of your NFT. So they did that with the Doge meme. So there was like this, I don't know, Shiba Inu, is that what it's called? Yeah, there's a dog meme that really famous. That's what like the Dogecoin is based off of. But they took that original meme that sold for a lot and then fractionalized that so you could actually buy, you know, portions of that very expensive NFT.
It sold for like $4 million. But the funny thing is, it was an NFT, but what you're buying is a fungible token. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
one of many.
Yeah.
So then does each like edition have like a number, just like any edition would have, like, and then the value just goes down the further away?
Yeah, they have a token ID.
It may go down. It depends on the scarcity. Like if you look at the CryptoPunk that sold for the most, it has the mask. It was the only one that was minted in like 2018 before this whole COVID craziness, right? And it sold for $12 million. But there's 10,000 of them out there. But that one's that unique.
Well, and people are forming, you know, group buying, which I think is really powerful. So there's ways where you can have kind of a shared wallet. It's called a Gnosis Safe. And this really incredible initiative happened a few months ago called a Crypto Cookout, where this big investor and collector named Sirsu actually went around with a collection of different Black investors, and specifically we're trying to acquire and get the Black CryptoPunks, which I thought was really cool. And they like went in together and bought them, and now like they're going to share the profits of those when they sell or different things. So there's different groups forming like that. There's one called Pleaser DAO that's really neat, where that was actually who did the fractionalization of the Doge meme, but they've been group buying NFTs. A really unique project happened a little while ago where I think it was like a couple thousand people put in money this way and actually put in bids on one of the copies of the Constitution. It was called Constitution DAO. They didn't end up winning it, but it was really cool to see, you know, people come together to try and like group buy something that, you know, no normal person would be able to afford, but then you would own a portion of it.
Did that end up selling for like $42 million?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was rooting for the people.
We got time for one more, and then we're going to wrap
Okay,
this up,
cool.
so go ahead.
My question is just, how are the prices of NFTs determined? Like, is it based on a market price that's like determined by supply and demand, or is it based on like a set price by the artist?
Yeah, that is a great question. So that's why I really like to do auctions. So, you know, traditionally, auctions were kind of safeguarded by auction houses like Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips, but that is how you're able to actually appraise artwork, is by having it at auction and capturing its live value in an open market. And then you have your sales history and your data. And that was something that was like reserved for a select few people. And it's one of the really powerful things about NFTs is that now artists have the ability to host and manage and run and benefit fully from running their own auctions. And I think that's a really good way to just see your value, you know. You can set reserve prices. So if like you do want a certain amount for the NFT, you could set that. So it basically says if no one puts a bid in over that, like it won't sell. But I mostly like to do auction styles, but there's so many different ways to sell NFTs too, but
What
I like
happens like after you've made the sale? For example, like you was talking about earlier, someone might buy an NFT as an investment. Once they have it, like what happens with the price of that? Did they have an auction, or is there like a price?
They can, yeah, so,
Just resell it on the market, you can buy it and repost it the second later, so you can buy it and flip it.
Mhm.
So
or people
What
can
Apple
put bids on it, even if,
That joint they want it, you got it.
it's just for the man?
Take it.
yeah, even if it's not listed for sale, people can put in offers on it, and you can decide whether to accept them or not. Yeah.
It's hard, it's not like a real estate in a neighborhood where you can have comps, it's like basically, you bought it for X, and you have to decide what you think the demand is and what it's worth to you to sell. And I imagine there's people out there that can actually value it as well.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
once it's sold, it's gone, you know, that, someone else owns that, it is out in the wild. But say you mint something, or even mint a few pieces and they don't sell, you can do what's called burning them, which is essentially like deleting it. So say you want to rethink your approach or kind of change things up. Once it's sold, you can't do that, you can't take it back. But unless you buy it back, and then you could burn it, which I've thought about doing. Because some of my artwork, I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But, you know, if you still own it, and it's still in your wallet, you can burn it. And that's why I like Polygon too, is because it's not as expensive if you do make a mistake. Say you realize there's a typo or something, you can burn it and recreate it for way less than Ethereum. So, yeah.
awesome. Hey, well, we have dropped an NFT for this event. Eli created it. Gaston, who's out there, actually minted it, so grab it on the way out. Entrepreneurship at DU is going to keep creating NFTs for all of our events. Our idea is maybe you'll make millions off of it, you probably won't. But when you leave college and you're like, what the heck did I do the last 4 years? You open up your wallet and you're like, well, I went to all these sweet events. So it's a little way to think about it. On the 22nd, we have a crypto workshop with Salt and Robinhood, so I'll send out some information about that. But let's give Annie Phillips a big round of applause. I know she'll hang out for a couple minutes if you want to come chat with her. And go to East Denver.
Yeah, I hope to see you
Thank you all for coming tonight.